Good morning. I'm Harley Schlanger from the LaRouche Organization with your daily video update for May 28th, 2025. Well, I'm going to start by reporting on some very significant reverberations coming from the Schiller Institute conference from last weekend. I hope some of you took advantage of the link yesterday in the description section to watch some of the proceedings. You can find it at theschillerinstitute.com. And there's quite a bit to watch. But what's interesting is that the door has now been opened to a much broader segment of the population, including the general population, but also notice is being taken of the growing influence of the Schiller Institute and the work of the International Peace Coalition. There was a very good, straightforward article in TASS, the Russian news service, following the first panel. That appeared on the day after the first panel. I'm going to be attaching today in the description section to the Judging Freedom show with Judge Napolitano, where in his interview with Ray McGovern, the first thing he raises is McGovern's participation at the Schiller Institute conference. Very short, but very important. Now, also today, let me call your attention to the dialogue between Helga Zepp-LaRouche and Dr. Theodore Postol, one of the leading nuclear war experts, nuclear energy experts, talking about his concern that the Golden Dome policy of Donald Trump will lead to heightened instability and possible trigger nuclear war. So don't miss that. The link for that will also be in the description section. Now, the important point is that there's an urgently needed change in the thinking of governments. Or I should say, maybe for the first time, some of them should start thinking. You can see the continued effect of doing nothing to change the situation in Ukraine and Gaza. Now, Donald Trump says he wants to change it. He wants to stop the killing. He wants to end the war. But the problem is that very often a mixed message is coming out. And forget Trumpology. I'm not going to try and analyze what's going on in his head. I think the problem is that there are many inputs from people who are not good, whether it's the European so-called allies, whether it's the neocons that are still circling around the administration, the war hawks in the Congress, the puppets of the military-industrial financial complex. Whatever it is, there has to be a change. Take Ukraine, for example. Trump had a rant against Putin, saying, I don't like what he's doing. He attacked Putin for launching a drone attack on Ukraine, ignoring, first of all, that Ukraine had just launched a major attack on Russia around the time of the May 9th Victory Day celebration in Moscow, where leaders from around the world were present. But as he was expressing the frustration, one of the reporters asked him, did he know that there was a drone attack on the helicopter that Putin was in when he went to Kursk? Now, Trump said he didn't know that. Well, did he or did he not? If he didn't know it, that's quite startling, that no one on his security staff had told him that Putin was the subject of an assassination attempt. So that raises a question of why did he not know that? And this is really an important problem of the failure of the national security team to keep him abreast, or perhaps his own inability to think through the consequences of these things. Now, at the same time, the coalition of the brain dead are moving to sabotage any effort that Trump is making to normalize relations with Russia and to bring an end to the Ukraine fighting. The Merz, the Chancellor of Germany, took a giant step into insanity when he announced that the UK, France, Germany were lifting the limitation placed on long-range missiles being shot from Ukraine into Russia. This is crazy. This has been identified as a red line, a very clear red line, if the Taurus missiles or some of the other long-range missiles are fired into Russia, the Russians have said this would indicate absolutely clearly that NATO is a partner in this war against Russia. And then Germany itself would become a target if Merz stuck to this. Now, within a short period of time, a vice chancellor came out and said, no, that's not the policy. But that's playing a game which is an extremely dangerous game. And it has to stop. Now, at the same time you had in Gaza, the killing is continuing. There's some people who are saying, debating, is this legally a genocide or not? Well, it doesn't matter really. I mean, I would say it's fairly clear that it is. But large-scale, indiscriminate killing is continuing to take place. And now even more voices are being raised against it within Israel. The latest, former Prime Minister Ehud Olmert, who was Prime Minister from 2006 to 2009, came out and said that what is being done to the Palestinians is a war crime. Well, that's pretty clear. Now, the Haaretz, I think the third largest newspaper in Israel, had an editorial titled, "End It Now." So there are some voices being raised against it, against the Netanyahu policy. The French, the British, the Canadians did their perfunctory statement against it, but they're not doing anything about it. Who could stop Netanyahu? Donald Trump. By saying that any more of these attacks, there'll be no more weapons, no more money, no more backing from the United States. That's how to end the genocide or the killing in Gaza. Now, meanwhile, there's this whole discussion about the building of a golden dome to protect the United States from possible nuclear attack. Ted Postol, who is one of the foremost experts on this question, just sent out a short summary of his analysis saying that this is destabilizing, that this could trigger a nuclear response if it's actually implemented, and he also said it wouldn't work. So he'll be discussing this today with Helga Zepp-LaRouche. This is one of these dialogues that you should definitely put on your calendar. It's live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time today. If you can't catch it live, it'll be archived on the Schiller Institute site. Finally, to my Canadian friends, I'm embarrassed for you. King Charles sitting on a throne in the Canadian Parliament. What is the whole point of that, other than to show that Canada still belongs to Great Britain, and that Mark Carney is nothing but a puppet of the City of London forces that wish to keep Canada under control? You have my sympathy, but more importantly, you have my encouragement to act to free Canada. So, as you'll see from the clip with Ray McGovern, who talks about why he's not embarrassed about saying free Palestine, even though Netanyahu said that saying free Palestine is like saying Heil Hitler. And who should know better than that, than Netanyahu, what the Nazi policy is, because he's implementing it. But I think we now have to add to the saying free Palestine, free Canada. And that's a task for my Canadian friends to take on. So thanks for joining me today. Take advantage of the links in the description